In the video about recognizing vocabulary from context, I mentioned dashes. And I mentioned that a dash is a piece of punctuation that is a little bit longer than a hyphen, and you can type two hyphens to create a dash. But what's the big difference between them? So a hyphen joins two words, and a dash separates two words. But let's start by looking at hyphens. What does a hyphen do? Well, I said it joins two words. Let's listen to it. Fact-finding. Sounds very smooth. They go together. And a little upwards intonation here, a little downwards here. Fact-finding. Problem-solving. Labor-intensive. Well-known. All of these are following this stress pattern of a little bit up, a little bit down at the end. It's one word, one concept, one idea. Hyphens can join words together in an idiom. Here's an idiom, on the fat. On the fat. You pronounce it very smoothly as if it were one word. Maybe you have a little bit of on the fat, a little down intonation at the end. This particular idiom means living in a wealthy, comfortable way. Hyphens can indicate a range. Here's an example. A 3 to 5 year program. A 3, 2, meaning that's the range. How long is the program? Well, it's at least 3 years and at most 5 years. 3 to 5 year. So again, hyphens are joining things together. Hyphens are used for number adjectives, and most people remember this from writing class, from grammar class. A pole that is 10 feet long, a pole that is 10 feet long is a 10-foot pole. A cruise that is 2 hours long, a 2-hour cruise, and so on. And as I've said about hyphens, you can hear the smoothness. 100-meter race, 2-hour class, 6%, 10%, 25%. If it is a hyphen, joined together and smooth sounding. You could join names together, and some very famous people have hyphenated last names. Beyonce, her last name is Knowles Carter. Knowles being the name that she was born with in her first family. Carter, the last name of her husband. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, different reason. He is hyphenated because it comes from the Arabic naming tradition. Newton-John, the British naming system. Cartier-Bresson, the French naming system. Oh, and Burne-Jones is another British. So if the two names go together, it's a little bit different from the Spanish tradition, where a person has their mother's last name and father's last name, but they are separate names. If you use a hyphen, you pronounce it as one name, and you cannot leave one name out. If you say Kareem Abdul, nobody will know who you're talking about. This famous basketball player. You have to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So key to remember is that a hyphen joins words. It puts words together. A dash is different. A dash, which is longer, it has as long as two hyphens, means that there's some kind of interjection. Interjection means added information, extra information. And you're going to hear a pause with that extra information. These are some sentences that are taken from the textbook. All work undertaken should be useful, not just for a day or a year. One dash means I am going to give more help, more explanation about what do I mean by useful. I don't mean useful for a day. I don't mean useful for a year. I mean whatever I mean, I'm going to add that. So interjection means to add something important. And you can hear it. Here's another example. The arts project had already received an outsized share of attention and publicity and notoriety. So you hear this emphasis. Don't make it soft. Make it strong. You hear a pretty good pause. Now, parentheses is very similar to the dash, but maybe you remember, or if you watch the video about words from context, remember the feeling, the mood of parentheses. Parentheses say, oh, hey, I don't want to interrupt. I'm kind of small. I'm down here. You can ignore me. It's okay. Dashes say, hey, wait, stop. Look at me. Look at me. Here I am. And whatever it is between the dashes is going to be loud, not soft. Right now, I'm going to stop. The key takeaway of this video is to remember what's the difference between a hyphen and a dash. How do they work? How do they sound? How can you use them? And importantly, what do they mean when you read them? Good luck.